Hello, Internet. Welcome back to Jams by Jyesh. I'm Jyesh, and today I want to talk to you about Godzilla Minus One and how this film honors the 70-year-old Godzilla theme. If you like this video, give it a like, comment, and subscribe, and tune in for more Jams by Jyesh. Also, let me know what your favorite Godzilla theme is in the comments. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. So, there are 4 things that I want to talk about today, and some are specific to the implementation of the Godzilla theme in this film, but others are just about the brilliance of the Godzilla theme. And those 4 things are the fascinating song structure, the orchestration and instrumentation being incredible, the homages to past Godzilla themes, and the synchronization to beats in this film. So, first let's talk about song structure. And I'd say that there's 4 things that are really worth noting. The time signature, the key change, the lack of resolution, and the chromaticism and dissonance in the intro. And let's start with that one since we're talking about the intro. The intro to Godzilla's theme is iconic. It's unpleasant to hear. It feels like you're in a horror movie, and that's because of the chromaticism and the very large dissonant intervals. The use of these dissonant intervals and chromatic notes, meaning notes that are right next to each other in the scale, but also intervals that don't have like conventionally pleasant harmonies, is brilliant. It sets the tone for what is essentially nuclear destruction at the hands of Godzilla. And it perfectly tees up the next section of the piece, which is this very optimistic and uplifting section. But now let's talk about that section, right? Because the interesting thing is that there is both no resolution in this section, as we alternate between the 4 and 5 chords of the key, but then we also have a constant change in time structure. We go from 4/4 to 5/4. What does this do in conjunction with the lack of resolution? We're saying you can't get comfortable. You need to keep fighting. You need to get intense. This is the fight of your life. That is what the composer of this piece set out to do. It's optimistic, it's hopeful, it's still in the major key, but we are not satisfied. We are not relaxed. We are tense, and we are building up. Just when you think you might have gotten some comfort and some repetition, you've heard the build-up, you know what you're doing, then key change happens and you're in a different section of the piece. This happens in each iteration of the piece, and each time it is equally dissatisfying. It's unpleasant, it's tough, but that's what this theme is trying to do. I do wish I could go further in depth about the music theory behind this piece, but I don't really want to do that because I'm afraid of getting copyright strikes. With that said, let's talk about the instrumentation and orchestration of this incredible piece. And I think that it's really nice how extremely militaristic the tone of it is. Just from the timbre of all the instruments, from the mixing, from the sound of it, from the snare drum, everything about it just evokes military imagery. This can be seen in the original use of brass to play Godzilla's motif at the start of the theme. Then you have this booming bass drum and cymbals. The intro is very tense. Originally it had snare drum in there as well, but I think they removed that because the snare drum is meant to represent the people. And that first opening riff, that is Godzilla's theme. That is Godzilla appearing. And that's why they removed the snare drum there. Then the snare drum kicks in with the rest of the orchestra. No brass, no bass drum, no cymbals, but we have snare drum, we have an upbeat string section, and we are at a crescendo. This is around that time of that hopeful section that I was talking about earlier. There's still no resolution, there's still a weird time signature, but you have strings, you have snare drum. You are with the people right now. This is the people's theme. All in all, it's just brilliant composition. Next, let's talk about the homages to the past Godzilla themes, because The Godzilla themes in Godzilla Minus One, there's two instances of it, and they're actually different themes. One is the appearance of Godzilla theme from Godzilla vs. Mothra. This is in the scene where Godzilla destroys Ginza. And I think that this piece was chosen for a couple of reasons. One, because appearance of Godzilla is not meant to evoke a response from the people in this part of the film. This is Godzilla on a rampage. This is Godzilla at his worst. This is the horror movie segment of the film. And it's also worth mentioning that there's a lot of Mothra imagery surrounding the love interest of the film, and that might be intentional. That might be added reason for why we had Mothra's theme here. Just something to note, something interesting. Then, for the battle versus Godzilla, we have the Godzilla versus Destroya theme. This is interesting because it's the theme of the humans as they're about to fight Godzilla. That's why we have that hopeful section. That's why things get intense at this point. Also worth mentioning that Godzilla vs. Destroya evokes the Godzilla vs. Kong theme. So we have all these past Godzilla themes, all these homages in the name of the 70th anniversary of Godzilla. It's really a love letter, and it's beautiful. Now let's talk about how the film plays with that, right? The ships attacking is coordinated right with the hopeful part of the piece starting. The humans are the good guys, as the theme was originally intended for it to happen. And, you know, that's not the case in every Godzilla theme where you're, like, actively rooting for the humans. In some, Godzilla is like a force of nature, where he is this creature just trying to go about his business, and he represents, like, all that is good. But in this film, Godzilla represents, like, the nuclear threat. Godzilla represents all these bad things. That's why he's very much framed as the thing that we're fighting against. During the build-up to that hopeful part, that's when the contemplation over whether Godzilla should be fought by them or not happens. And the score really perfectly reflects the urgency of the characters. You feel that they want to live. And I'd say that when I listen to this piece, I want to fight. I want to fight for the right to live. That's all that I really have to talk about today. Quick little video for everyone. If you haven't seen Godzilla Minus One, please, please, please give it a watch. It is easily the best Godzilla movie that I have ever seen, and I could not recommend it enough. All right, that's it for me, everyone. Bye-bye.